Hello again, social media family. How are you this evening? This is a continuation tonight of conversations with my daughter. We were trying to do Facebook, go directly through Facebook. I may have to do some practicing on the back end so that we can be able to just jump on because the methods we're using currently is like different click, click, click. And yeah, it's a lot of clicks going on. So we just want to narrow it down to one click of a button and invite everyone to join us. So I did not send out a post to remind everybody that we were on. So prayerfully, we will have some guests on tonight. I may send a little notice via the, what do you call that thing? The story, just to let those know that we are on. But those that are on or we catch the replay, thank you for joining us tonight. Super excited about this topic of discussion that has been on my heart, just really wanting to, um, as my daughter says, show the world what it's like to grow up in the Garner household to a certain degree, because of course we can't capture this in just 30 minutes. It's going to take a long time to be able to capture. I think you would agree, right? Growing up Garner, what that is like. So as you are coming on, do us a huge favor. Since I did not send out a notification that we are going live, I'll probably will do that in just a second. Invite some mothers, daughters, spiritual mother, daughters, some relationships that you have, invite them to join us tonight. I do have some questions that I'm going to pose to my daughter, if she wouldn't mind building off of those questions. So, do you want to greet everyone before we get started tonight, Tylonda?
Yes, great. I have spent the day with my husband and my daughter at the zoo. So I'm a little winded, got a little energy, a little burst of energy, but I am partly famished. So I'm also in need of sustenance. Um, my husband has already
Fast, huh? You've been fasting.
he's had his share, but we have had a fun day at the zoo. Today was Justice's first time going to the zoo.
Yay, Justice.
And seeing just the way that she was looking at certain things, like, what is this? So we had a fun day today. And so I just want to say thank you for joining us on this conversation with my mother and I. And we hope that you have a great time with us tonight.
Yes.
So go ahead and share the broadcast, invite others, mothers and daughters, women to join us. So we can't wait to get started here.
I know, and now you said you're hungry, so I might have to rush through this so you can
Yeah.
so you can eat something. Or
Mhm. Yeah.
yes, we're gonna have a great, great, great time.
Mhm.
So tonight I wanted to ask Tylonda a few questions,
Mhm.
um, some questions that were in my heart to um, ask, my daughter, to see how. I know she'll respond with the wisdom and grace, and all of the experiential wisdom that
Mhm.
she has developed over a period of time, being raised in the household and, going on, but not in the household, and still maintaining a relationship with your mother and your father, of course. But tonight is a conversation with my daughter. And hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again. Please like, love, share, invite those that you think will be blessed by our conversation on tonight. But I'll start with one of the questions that I have. What would you say to someone, to a daughter? Hi, mom. Good evening.
You
Who
know,
who may not be able to have a conversation with their mother because of things that may have happened in the relationship? What type of advice we're just jumping right in, would you give to them?
mm,
Or knowledge, what kind of wisdom, those that may say, I want to have a conversation, but I find it really difficult to have a conversation with my mom. Like,
mm,
I don't want to give you I don't want to give the response, but what would you say to someone that may feel like, okay, I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, and
Mhm.
I'm the child, 'cause some young ladies would say they're the parent, shouldn't they be the one to initiate the conversation? But for
Mm,
various reasons, and I'm sure there are various reasons why people struggle with having conversations with their mother or spiritual mother or mother figure. So, what advice can you give someone?
mm. I would say, like the Bible tells us that there is safety in the multitude of counselors.
Yeah.
So if you find it where it's difficult, like being the daughter and you have a mother, because I feel like this can go, I kind of have two different scenarios in
Mhm.
my head. So, it may be a situation, if there's a situation where it's like the daughter just has, some feelings of hurt, hatred or something, within her towards her mother, where she can't initiate the conversation because it's her, or you have a situation where it's the mother who may just have like a deaf ear to what the daughter has to say or how the daughter feels. I think in both cases, it's appropriate to say, um, locate someone that is a safe place to talk to about what's happening between the mother and the daughter,
Yeah.
and pull the in to have to be like a mediator
Yeah.
during the conversation. If a daughter finds it hard to talk to her mother, even if it's some internal things that she has going on, some hurts, some wounds, um, because who knows how the conversation may go if it's just you and the mom, you're trying to talk, you got hurts and wounds. I mean, you might start, throwing, hands and stuff at each other. You don't want that to happen, because Bible tells us to honor our parents that our days may be long. So no matter what the parent is doing, we still got to honor them. But I would definitely say pull on someone who you can talk to, whether it's a family member, whether you may know, mom has some close friends and she'll listen to this friend, or a relative who will be able to, a person, relative, friend who will be able to sit and be unbiased in a
Yeah.
way. They have a neutral position and won't be ready to just take sides, so that you can
Good.
express what you need to your mother, or if you can get um, counseling, professional counseling, and a counselor can come in and kind of help bring the bridge where there is a wedge between the mother and the daughter. I think that's a safe way to do that.
Mhm. That's
Mhm.
good. That's really good. Very good points of references that you gave. The mediator, I like that. The counselor, I like that as well, coming from a daughter's perspective who's kind of, you were a teenager, young adult at one point. You're still a young adult. You're still a young adult, but you've gone through the various stages of life and our experiences with dialoguing, trying to dialogue. And I know we're going to get into a conversations with my mom, so I'm trying not to give too much of a response, because I know that we hold a responsibility as well as being a parent. And
Mhm.
that's a conversation that we can kind of dig into. But I really wanted to get your perspective, when it may seem like it's a challenge, to have a conversation, or you may not be able to have a conversation, or your mother, may have passed on. So now you have a mother figure in your life, and you may have felt like you wanted to have some conversations, with your mother. And that's a whole nother conversation as well, because you didn't get an opportunity to share some things that were in your heart, to discuss, and then you don't have that opportunity. So counseling will definitely need to be in order when you feel as if, okay, I didn't have an opportunity, to
Mhm.
get it right, with my mother. So that's really, really good advice. My second question is, how do you maintain respect? Do you or did you, to your mom as you entered into adulthood? And I can think like, ooh, no, when I like you grown now, can think not no, not towards you. No, I'm not even gonna put you out there like that. I wouldn't do that at all. Not here. Now, if you did it yourself on a different platform, so be it. Because we all got our stories to tell. But when I say that, And I say that I'm being lighthearted, but when you become adult, it's like, okay, I'm an adult now. These rules don't apply to me anymore. When I was a child, then this, that, and the other. And then you could, you know, give when I was a child, things are just different. Give your opinion, recommendations. You can advise me. You can tell me what to do. But I'm a whole adult now, a whole married adult with a baby.
Yes.
So things have changed, mother.
Yes.
So
Oh,
how do you maintain that respect? When I'm
mhm.
sure maybe some challenging times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to speak from my experience. So firstly, because I am a God lover, I have to give you, the scriptural context. So the Bible tells us to children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, that our days may be long. And so that is pretty basic to me. It's pretty simple to understand. Like, okay, there is a reward in doing this. Why don't I do it? Um,
Right.
and then the other aspect of that, how do I maintain the respect? I mean, just when I have to say, if when you someone like, and I have had all of these experiences with my mother, I respect her. And and it's like a lot of times, we can look at people and we can say, I can relate to you, I respect you because I know your journey. I know what you've gone through to be here. And so my respect for my mother is maybe a little different than some because of journeys my mother and I have gone through together, some things that we have traversed through.
Yeah.
So I have the ultimate respect for my mother. And then plus I can't stand to see anyone disrespect my mother. So, if you're wired like me,
She's not listen. She's not playing, y'all. I have to be like, Talonda, bring it,
yeah,
bring it in, bring it, sweetheart.
sweet as
Yes,
pie.
and
I
it's
truly
like,
am sweet as pie, but I
absolutely,
gotta,
yes. But it's
let's,
kind of like the table kind of turned. It's interesting when you all get older. It's like
mm,
we are the protectors.
yeah,
Your dad and I, and then it's like when they get a certain age, it was like, listen, they don't mess with my mama, don't mess with my daddy. She's very, oh my gosh, so protective, and it not really it kind of surprises me because I just wasn't expecting it. Like I said, because I am the protector. It's like
mhm,
I want to, and now it's kind of flipped, and and she means it. That's the, and I mean I meant it too, but
yeah,
what I've saved,
mhm,
sanctified self. Um, she means it. And we do have our conversations about the disrespect and the
yeah,
things that she sees, the things that, I see as well. Just because I don't say anything about it
right,
doesn't mean I don't see it.
yeah,
Um, Talanda's not afraid to express the things that she sees, and that's another conversation. And I'm gonna stop saying it after a while, but just yeah, so just maintaining that respect even into adulthood. And yes, our journey is a little bit different when it comes to serving in ministry.
mhm,
It's more public. When I say different, it's more public. And I think anyone in ministry, but I think when you're like, have a position to lead and your life is like public and you deal with a lot of people and
mhm,
on any given, Sunday or Wednesday, and then there are the phone conversations too. And just in general, there's several people that come across your path to they want to help, they want to assist, they want to walk right alongside you and help expand a bit, build out your vision. And Talanda is very watchful. That seer dimension that she has is always on alert. Same here, but I think as you get older, you learn how to settle to kind of settle down a little bit. And like I shared on the first broadcast, how there was a meme that Talanda shared with me about how your mother, bothered by your daughter's attitude. And then the meme said the daughter had the same attitude as her mom. And I was like, okay. So when you kind of see yourself in
mhm,
your daughter when it comes to how we can react to disrespect. It was like, okay, let me step my respect game up because I want to be the right type of representation for
Yeah.
my daughter, as she is moving along in ministry, how she is positioned in ministry, and even in work and relationships. Respect is across the board, not just in ministry, it's in relationships, spousal relationships, sibling relationship, co-worker relationship. Respect. Respect is prerequisite in a relationship on every level. So wanting to be the best example I could be. Have I got it right all the time? Probably not when it came to showing respect, but I'm learning and I'm
Yeah.
consistently yielding. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and I have my moments as well. But human part of us just, huh?
And I was gonna say, I believe, just to also say, I believe in treating people how we want to be treated.
Yeah,
And I sometimes come with a very practical um, vantage point. Sometimes things that I say are so practical, but I mean, it's practical. It sounds basic, but it's applicable.
yeah,
I want, I couldn't imagine being disrespectful to my mother and then knowing, my disrespect can open the door for others to be disrespectful
yeah,
to my mother as well. Treat people how you want to be treated.
yeah,
End of story. And I think we get so far removed from this. We are so far removed from it, right there in the moment. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do to you. That's it. That's all.
yeah.
No, I'm treating my mother how I want to be treated.
Mhm.
Reaping what we sow is a real thing.
Yeah.
And so just even having awareness, as I was entering
Mhm.
adulthood,
Okay.
um, I'm
I
a
can't hear your connection. Yeah.
you can
Up
hear
to the
me?
volume.
Let's see.
There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay. I don't know
Yeah.
what just happened there. Um,
Right.
but just entering into adulthood, I mean, I'm so aware of things. I'm so aware of everything. I won't say woke, I'm not interested in saying that I'm woke, but I'm so aware of things. And it's like I can see what my mother has gone through. And it's just without question. It's without question. If you are appreciative of what your parents have done for you, and you're grateful for everything they've done, sacrifices that they've made, and um, like we had family vacations and all these different things that you and dad did for my brothers and I. It's a non-negotiable. It's like, okay, of course I have respect for my mother. Do I see what she's done? And even for sometimes you have situations where there are single moms out here who are grinding and who are making things happen.
Yeah.
How can we not, as children, have respect for our parents, our mothers? Since we're talking about mothers tonight, mother and daughter, how
Yeah.
can we not just take a minute to just look outside of, okay, some needs and desires you may have? You want, I didn't get this and that. What did you get? What
Yeah.
did you get? Sometimes just being given morality is so, learning how to be a person full of morals and values and norms is so much more weightier and wealthier than being able to have this name brand, that name brand, because it's like you don't need the name brands and all that stuff to make it in this life today. You
Yeah.
you need Jesus, and you need to know how to behave yourself as a human being out here in these streets.
Yeah.
That's more valuable. That's stuff that you can really take with you through life. You're going to grow out of that name brand stuff anyway. You grow out of them shoes, grow out of them clothes, and stuff goes out of trend, whatever. But just being very practical with that. It's like, how can you not, when you actually have the ability to see with your natural eyes,
Yeah.
what's going on, what your mom is doing. How can you not be respectful, even as you get into your adult years? Yes, sometimes moms may say things 1,000 times, may say stuff, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
1,000 times. Are you counting? No.
1,000
Tell
times.
911.
Lord have mercy. Okay, I am in compliance with what you're saying, Mom. I'm in compliance with what you're saying. Got it. You say pack justice. What in the diaper bag? Okay, a blanket, yes. Like Brittany Watson had put up a post about her mother was telling her daughter to do something with her daughter. I don't know if it was some socks, a blanket, or something. Her mom was telling her, "Oh, the baby's feet was cold," and
Right.
she's like, "Mom, it is 90 degrees outside. What do you mean, baby's feet is cold?" And I'm like, "Lord, that sounds like my mother." And I'm like, "None of your mother is not the only one, because my mama too. Her feet
If that
cold."
baby starts sneezing, you should have listened. Like, you should have listened. You should have listened.
I'm like, oh my God. So okay. Mom said it, just do it. You never know. But this is Chicago. Like today, we're at the zoo.
It changes.
60 degrees tonight. Like we're done with outdoors for the night, but I
No.
was ready.
See? Yes, 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 yes. And someone in the comments said it's also respect is how we were raised, played the part in that as well. And that's true. And I was you waving at somebody. You can see the comments.
That
Okay.
comment. That's my cousin. Hey.
Hey, how you doing, Lisa? Yes, I do agree with that, how you were raised and then, uh, applying that to your life. Last week, I was really commending Thailanda for making a decision, a choice to follow after Christ, making a decision and a choice, when she, made that decision, a choice to actually listen to the wisdom and counsel that we were sharing with her. So, yes, it does start in the household, but our children also have to be compliant
Yeah.
with it as well. Because one thing that I know, just because children, including us when we were kids, because we know, listen, our parents taught us, instilled in us morals and values, and some of them may not have been in church, but they raised us the best way they possibly could, being moral citizens, not law-abiding citizens, being people of integrity. But we can sometimes stray away from those principles that were laid for us as well. So even having your children be in compliant with it, because we can sing that song all day long, like she was saying, put them socks on my baby, put them socks on my grandbaby, put them socks on my grand. But it's up to her, and I have to respect her and her husband, their
Yeah.
decision whether or not they want to put socks or that blanket on their child. Just because that's what I would do does not mean that they would do the same thing I would do. Ooh, and I have to like back up. So I have to remind myself, back up, Yolanda. This is your grandchild, not your child. So yeah, it's like a mutual exchange with the respect. I have to respect her and her husband as
Mhm.
well. And the same goes with my other children when they, have children, get married. I'm going to have to respect the way that they do things. Not saying that I will be silent, but I'm just going to be
Yeah.
full. Okay, we have a few more minutes here. Two more questions. What are your thoughts on having an open door policy with your mother? Meaning you have the freedom to discuss anything. Is this okay? Should this be the norm? What are your thoughts, Thailanda?
Absolutely. Oh God, yes. And yeah, I think so.
Think
I
so?
I could have done it more in high school, but
I'm not talking about nothing. You're leading the way.
no, I'm just saying. I mean, either I'm just saying I
Yeah,
could have done it more in
high
high
school,
school.
high school.
You
Yeah,
know,
if you look back in retrospect.
yeah, it's just like the waves that we go through growing up um,
Mhm.
as children. Babies, toddlers, school age children, adolescents, adults, preteens, all that stuff in the mix in between there. So, but having an open door policy, I'm also looking at the questions here with your mother. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
And I would like to hear any mothers on here chiming in to
yeah.
that. What do you think about that? Or even daughters. Did you
Mm.
have an open door policy? And did that work for you? You could say, yes, I had the open door policy. You thought it was great. No to the open door policy. We would love to see what your thoughts are about it as well. So go ahead, continue, sweetheart.
Yes, definitely. My thoughts on having an open door policy, meaning the freedom to discuss anything, absolutely, because it's needed. It is so needed. One of the scriptures I thought of when I saw this question was in Titus 2,
Yeah.
and verse 3, older women similarly are to be reverent in their behavior, not malicious gossips or addicted to much wine, teaching what is right and good, so that they may encourage the young women to tenderly love their husbands and their children, to be sensible, pure, makers of the home where God is honored, good natured, being subject to their own husbands. All
Mhm.
these things that um, the older women are to teach us younger women, our mothers and those women who are in our lives. And so definitely think that an open door policy where mothers and daughters can have discussions is needed. There's like a slew of things that are going on, Jesus, like in young people, teenagers, even grammar school kids can't even like count them out, because there are things that are happening now in grammar school that are unfathomable, in the minds of young people. But yes, I think so. Even from, because I think as girls, you know, kids, but we'll just say daughters, we tend to think certain things are forbidden,
Right.
to say to our mothers, especially you have parents like me, okay, talking about boys and different things like that is like, boys.
Right. Like,
Yeah,
help us, Lord.
looks, okay, them boys. No, boys can need to this, that, and the other, don't even need to. But I mean, it wasn't something that was completely shunned. But I just believe every aspect of life should be able to be discussed between a mother and a daughter. There is so much um there's so many benefits. There's so um much richness that is in that relationship between a mother and a daughter, to have to discuss, like I said, everything, personal things,
Yeah. Yeah.
worries, concerns, fears. I mean, to this day, I probably tell you too much, not too much,
Yeah.
just um between you and I, like, I don't have any shame. I could tell my mother what I want.
Yeah.
Um, she may be like,
That's like, ooh, ooh. I see
but
some of the comments. Do you see some of the comments in here?
yes.
Good. But the open door policy worked for me with my children. I don't know if I didn't ask if it was okay if we say your name out loud.
Mhm.
Tanika, hey, you have an open door policy. I like that because you're my godchildren are. I may mess up their ages. I think I'm not even going to 3 and 2. I believe.
Mhm.
Wasn't sure if you could discuss anything. Looking back, you possibly could. So starting when they're young, I think that's important. And I think sometimes as parents, we learn um, from our experiences, that we may not have had or that we didn't think that we 4 and 2. Sorry about that. I should know that. Okay. Um, it's different, when you kind of go through some things like, oh my goodness, the older you get and the experiences that you have, it was like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have had so much more patience. I wish I would have not have been so short tempered to let them know.
Mhm.
Now, of course, it's going to be different with my grandchildren. Of
Yeah.
course, the open door, revolving door, policy when it comes to that, because I think it provides a security and a
Yeah.
safety for the child, because sometimes they
Mhm.
go looking for acceptance, in all the wrong places and having conversations, heart to heart conversation. Now, I'm not saying that Talanda, you can speak to this as well. I know we just have a few more minutes, but they should also be able to have safe friendships. I don't want to just automatically say, don't talk to your parents. Go out and find a best friend or a peer to talk to because they are in the same predicament that you're in. But
Right.
your parents or grandparents or a spiritual figure, someone that you can trust, have been through or have walked the road that you are currently walking on. So, I think it's important, for us to, regardless of, I think I used to tell Talanda, regardless of how my face looks,
Right.
I was trying to prepare myself or whatever. Just tell me anyway. I may yell and scream and holler, but of course that does not make a person feel comfortable. We have an open door policy. If you say, I may scream. So it's,
Mhm.
saying, okay, God, help me not yell, scream, lose my composure, lose my temper. Yeah. So even creating a safe environment for your child. And I
Yeah.
love it that you're starting at such a young age, um,
Mhm.
for them to talk openly about anything that's so, so, so important. So the things that we didn't know to do, you know,
Yeah.
we can do at this day and age, just point it out live with our grandchildren. You can do
Mm.
it with your children because you know how it feels to not be able to have an open door policy. And I love that you said, Lisa, that you do have that and that works well for your children. Because I think that your children should be able to tell you if they should be able to confide in anybody
Yeah.
apart from their siblings. I really think it should be at home. I
Mhm.
really think that this should be their safe place, their places of refuge as
Right.
well. So that's really good.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to add before I move on to the final
Yeah,
question?
just in brief, like when you were saying that, I just thought about how a lot of times children, but we'll talk about girls, specifically since it's between you and I, but they'll turn to other entities. They'll turn to, um, sometimes some of this crazy stuff that you see out here. Sometimes they'll turn to a community
Yeah,
that is not, necessarily the best community for them to be a part of because
yeah,
they're
yeah,
looking for that empathy. They're looking for that acceptance. They're looking for that understanding. They're looking to be able to debrief and, just be able to talk about some things because girls have stresses, stress things that stress them, stressors. And so it is so, so important
yeah,
if mama is in the life for mama to just for a second, let's talk, let's go have some ice cream or whatever. Let's just go sit and talk and just creating that room,
that's
creating
good.
that space, that time, one on one, no interruptions. I'm not going to be on my phone as you're talking. I'm not going to be doing all this. It's just going to be me and you. And I want you to be able to tell me anything and be forthcoming about it, helping to create that confidence, in them as well. Say
Yeah,
it, whatever it is, say it. Don't worry about if I'm gonna be mad, because you
yeah,
used to tell me that all the time, like, tell me, something going on. I don't care what it is.
yeah.
Tell me. And I'd be more scared of your reaction when it came to somebody else. Okay. Than anything. Like, I'm scared for them, honey. Don't get it twisted because she decides that she is. We nuck and we buck over here. I'm trying to tell you. No.
Where's Elder Q at? She understand. Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, and it's and between me and you, like it's like that today. I come to you and we have conversations about things, and I'm venting and I'm saying, okay, wife life, okay, mom life, okay, people, and we're that space, that open space for one another.
Yeah, that's so
Mhm.
good. I like what a couple of comments here. It's important for a mom to set the environment for a safe place. That's good.
Mhm.
And Mary Kay said it's good when your children and grandchildren feel safe to come and talk about anything. And Tanika said again, and the way a mom does that may have to change with the seasons of life. I totally
Mhm.
agree
Mhm.
with that as well. It's like more empathetic, more,
Yeah.
just discerning as well. And Talonda, I know we're going to jump off really soon, but when you were sharing, I was thinking when you're talking about the teenagers, there's like there may be things that they may be struggling with in their mind, and in their bodies, and just wondering, can I say this to whatever it is, my parent or school, just identity, relationships. Can I really tell my mother? Can I really tell my father? And I really think just us making a conscious decision, regardless of what they come to say to us, be just overflowing with compassion. Let compassion, override your you want to respond angrily, short-tempered. You should not. What in the world? You know better. And it's easy to do that. It's difficult sometimes to be kind. I had a be kind challenge. And my thing is, being intentional with the way we love. So really making them feel comfortable, regardless of what you say to me, especially when you are a believer. Certain Christian morals and values that we have.
Yeah.
um, I want them to, and if they choose not to, then that's on them. But if I think if we do, I know that if we do our part, If we're not threatening, we're not threatening to do anything to you, to put you out, we're not doing any of that. This is your safe place because we want to represent the love of God to our children, even as toddlers,
Yep.
adolescents, what is it, teenagers, young adults. So whatever season that they are in, because we're going through different seasons as well. We're grandparents, we're getting a little gray hair if we don't color it. Things are changing about us as well. And it should, our perception should change. If we didn't have patience, we should develop more patience. The fruit of the spirit should be like on I don't want to say on flake, but at the forefront of our thinking, that I
Mhm.
want my children, I want them to feel the love of God. If I'm calling on his name, I want them to feel, regardless of what they've done or said, if we think about the things we've done and said, seen and unseen, that should really make us have more patience, and
Yeah.
be empathetic, sympathize more with what they're dealing with. Sometimes we make it seem like, oh my God, I'm so surprised that my child is doing this. Well, what did you do before you decided to make the change, and not do those things that you did? Don't make it seem like you've never done anything. I'm not even gonna say you never transgressed.
Right.
Don't be so, I'm so shocked. Why are you so shocked? Like we can teach and train them in the way that they should go so that when they mature, they don't depart from it, but they have a choice and they have a will. So don't just like, don't hold them to a standard that you at one point weren't living up to in your younger years. And sometimes even as an adult. So my point is to just be that safe place because you want them to run to you first
Yes. If
and
I
not
find
their
one
peers.
more here, and I'm done with this. There's a video. If I can find it, I'll share it with you, and I'll
Okay.
share it on my page so everyone can see it. But there was a girl. There was like this forum that was going on, and I believe the girl was talking about like being able to talk to your parents. I don't know if it was specifically for the mother only, but
Okay.
she had the room, and I know it was probably a nice amount of people in the room, and there were people on the stage. It's like a panel. She had a holy hush in that whole place. She must have talked for 5 minutes about the disparity, the disconnect between the parent and the child, and this is why children have a hard time engaging and relating to their parents. Oh my goodness. I mean, the people on the stage with the microphones were like, they didn't know what to say, and she was saying so Tanika said she saw that video. It was like, as parents, oh my God, they need
Yeah.
to do better because this is why we as your not, but she was saying this is why we as your kids don't talk to you because y'all kind of give us a cold shoulder. You tell us to go sit down somewhere. You don't make time for us. You
Wow.
rather be involved, in an saved home, unredeemed home or something like that. You have a man inside of the house and you entertain him more than you entertain us. I was like, woo! She put a holy hush in that room. I mean,
Yeah.
I think some people were trying to get her to go, shh, shh, no, be quiet. They were like, no, let her talk. No, let her talk.
Yeah, the truth. I think I may have seen that too. I think. But it's so, oh my God, it's so, and that takes, you have to learn to be that way. I know there's a term I heard
Yeah.
someone use, learned behavior. You have to learn to quiet yourself. Your children, when they get a certain age, not being disrespectful, they will say, "Okay, mom, I'm trying to talk. You're out over talking me," and then I'm like, "Okay, well, you over talking me too now." If I'm and it's humbling to have your adult child, you have to stop and listen because they're not a teenager anymore, so you can't and we probably shouldn't have done it as a teenager or when they were adolescents, to not the same thing, but like stop them in the middle of a sentence. You have to allow them to get it all out, so that
Mhm.
yeah, they have to get out their entire point, like Talonda mentioned earlier, not looking at your phone, not being in front of the TV, put it on mute, but still looking at the picture, not looking at a magazine. But now it's everything is digitized now, but not looking at the screen on Instagram, TikTok, what is else is it? Facebook, but giving them your undivided attention, like looking them in their face. One of the things that my children were raised to look someone eye to eye. I'm going to be an active listener. I'm not just going to hear you, but I'm
Mhm.
going to listen, and I'm going to listen to see when a response is warranted or when I just need to just listen. Maybe just give you a hug.
Yeah.
Maybe just, say a prayer. And being sensitive, being um, sensitive enough to know when to interject, when to pull back, when to pray, and when to even go to your children, because that's something that has been expressed before too, just not. But I think I may be in the business too much, sometimes just asking what's going on with you? Taking that initiative to pick up the phone or go in the room or send a text or call or FaceTime. Hey, how you doing? What's going on with you? In the busyness of life, sometimes we get so busy. You have to stop, especially when they're not in the home with you anymore, but they are adults. Still having to keep that open line of communication to let them know that they can talk about anything. And I'm going to say this one thing and move on for real. One of our children, I keep my phone with me, and they call me super late at night, super late, and they were like, "Is dad is dad, I don't want you to wake him up. Can you go into another room?" And I'm like, "Sure," but the dad was in the room that I was trying to go into that time of night, so I was going to another room. So as tired as I was, and I think it was close to the 12 o'clock hour, somewhere around, I mean, I got up out the bed because I didn't know what they wanted to talk about. I could have been like, "No, we talk tomorrow," but I didn't know if it was urgent or not. They didn't say it was an emergency, but they just wanted to share something that was on their heart. And I think we talked for probably about 20 minutes, and I was about to rev up, and they were like, "Okay, I am kind of sleepy," because once I get started, your children with their prophetic, inspirational speaking, pulling the scriptures out and giving you revelation, it just pulls something out of you. So it's like that iron sharpening iron. Now it's a beautiful thing to be in the midst of some preachers, teachers, pastors, all that, evangelists. They have the word of the Lord flowing. So just being available, even then, to listen to my adult child and to give some advice, and getting out of the comfort of my own bed, going into another room, and yeah, just having that heart to heart conversation. And what, thank God, it was not an emergency. It was just something that was pressing on their heart, and they just, I guess, wanted to hear their mother's, I don't know, consolation, I guess, or the nurturing aspect. I call myself a nurturer from their mother. So, and I'm blessed to be able to um, be looked at in that way. Because sometimes you're like, okay, am I doing too much? Am I in the business too much? So you try to pull back. But then when they come to you and they solicit you for advice, it's like, okay, it's so worth it, to know that the position that you sometimes take to not be overly involved in their lives, that they'll start to pull on you and pull on your wisdom. So that's a blessing. So I wanted to share that as well. But the last question, I know you did say you were hungry, honey. And my
Mhm.
baby has settled down. I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Little,
So
yeah.
the last question, I'm trying to get it here. I know it was give, if you want to give some areas. I know I had a particular number, but I don't want to make you feel as if you have to give that amount of um, uh, three. Well, I said it. Some areas. I said three areas, or ways a mom could encourage her daughter from your perspective. You can give three, you give one, you can give two, however many. Or what are some of the ways that a mom can encourage her daughter? We're going to leave you all with this tonight.
Mm, I would say first one. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you. Yeah.
I would say the first one is 3 ways she can encourage. I would say be the example that you would want her to exemplify
Okay, that's
um,
good.
before
Somebody
people.
type that in for me tonight, if you can. Your fingers can type on it, or
Be
just or capture something she's saying.
be
Be
the mhm,
the,
be the example that you want your daughter to exemplify, and you have to work, either diligently at that,
okay.
maybe take some things, pull back on some things, maybe drive some things, within yourself, but just purposing to be that example. And like we were, I could kind of touch on that in brief, but like how we discussed the last time, how I was saying that
Mhm.
growing up in the home, there were so many things that I learned from you. And I said one of the things that I've learned, one of the many things that I loved was how because this is huge, to me, it really matters. Um, you didn't exemplify a jealousy towards other women before me. So, that created in me. I'm not jealous of any person. I'm not jealous of what another woman has. I can honestly applaud you. And
Okay.
then even having that skill, because what I began to learn is that
Yeah.
there's some women who actually want you to be jealous of them. Okay, that is so wicked. Your mama didn't teach you well. Maybe she did teach you well, and you developed that on your own. I'm not too sure where that came from, but it needs to stop. But I had learned, those things, and even learning how to deal with that. I couldn't always beat somebody up because you want me to be jealous of you, and I don't know why, and I'm not going to be that. But I've been taught how to handle that too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I loved, no matter what season that I was in my life. That's not an attribute of my mom. My mother didn't teach me to be that way. My mother taught, she supported other women, clapped for them. Yep, and she stood in her own because she's been called to do great and mighty things. She is a beautiful, stunning woman. You stunning, honey.
Daughter.
Just naturally
Thank
stunning.
you, sweetheart.
Whatever. So that's one of the biggest things I think that a mother can do, because as daughters,
Yeah.
we look straight at our mamas like, what did my mama do in this situation?
Yeah.
Okay, what did she do in this
I
situation?
know you looking. If ain't nobody else looking at them, honey, I don't know if anybody can, because I'm trying not to type and because I want to be able to respond. But if somebody can't be the example,
Mhm.
yes, you are a watcher. Lord
Definitely,
have mercy, this young lady, and I
definitely.
think it took me a minute to see what was going on, and I don't know if you will continue to watch now because I'm calling you out. No, I'm just
I will. It comes with the calling. I'm a seer. Yes. Yes.
yes, yes,
Yes.
watcher, and I don't respond this way necessarily because Tylanda, my daughter, is watching, um,
Mhm.
but maybe subconsciously, I am because, we can all be a certain way if we didn't have a whole lot of Jesus, on the inside of us. I promise you, not just me, not just her. We can all be a particular way if we don't have
Mhm.
as much Jesus as we have on the inside of us. But yes, being an example. Yeah, I don't want to. I know you said you were out and about, so I don't want to belabor the time. So you
Yeah.
have another one, any other area? Be the example, way that we can encourage our daughter.
Mhm. And I think, um, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. So being the example, and I think just having, um, being intentional about, I don't want to say friendship between the mother and daughter, but having such a, being intentional about keeping that relationship strong
Okay.
between the mother and daughter. I think
Okay.
that is a way of encouraging, and even empowering a daughter, between the mom and the daughter. Because I was thinking about, again, our previous conversation, but that's everything.
Yeah.
Keeping that relationship tight, and being an ear to hear, being a shoulder to lean on, being a voice of reason, a voice of understanding, a voice of
Yeah.
um, power. Because like you would tell me, you're giving people too much power. For you to respond to a situation like this, you're giving them too much power right there. Or, that work hard ethic that you instilled in me.
That's
Um,
funny.
so I think.
Think back, Lord have mercy. When I think back on some of the things I would say, I'm like, oh my gosh, praise the Lord. And I, like I said, thank you for listening
Yes.
and taking what I said into consideration and not just, I'm sure you took what applied and probably threw away some of the stuff that may not have applied. But thank you
Mhm.
for listening and actually
Yeah.
trying to implement it within your life. It makes a difference, when you're not just giving some instructions and wisdom and it's just falling on ears that are not trying to hear what you're saying. It's just falling by the wayside, but you're actually like, let me take this into consideration.
Mhm.
You may have said, no, I will do this now, later, never, but even having that enough respect for not just me, but for both of your parents to um, listen to the some of the things that we say and us to even allow you to be your own individual person and not be like, okay, well, she can take it or leave it. This is just advice, but you have an option. But
Yeah.
you're very strong willed, so don't have
Mhm.
a problem with that. You have
No.
listen, okay, but go ahead. Your other area.
I would say this is
In a good way. In a good way.
yes, this is a little different, but hear me out. So, even
Should I grab my pearls? My fake
no,
pearls?
I don't think so. Take it so I'll preface it and say, taking it out of, for a moment, the context between um a husband and wife, but think of, okay, this is my daughter, but just learning your daughter's um love language,
Okay.
learning what puts the twinkle in her eye, like, okay, um no, because this also can be encouraging and again empowering. And so it's like if your daughter likes quality time, okay, I know she likes quality time. Let's me, spend some time with her doing this, go shopping or something. Oh, I know she likes gifts. Okay, let me give her a gift or something like that.
Yeah, that's
You
good.
know, just learning the ins and outs of your child, because I think it's nothing like, dwelling with someone who you really don't know. And
Right,
I
right.
think sometimes young women can keep that can be an advantage or a disadvantage. Sometimes kids will take that and hold it over your head like you don't even know me. But be like, yes, I do. I do.
That's a mama face right there. That's a mama face.
Yeah. I think that too can be a means of encouragement, um, just knowing
Like
that. And
that.
yeah, I think so. Because I could say so many things, because I can tell you like one of the ways that you encouraged me, you would buy me things like I still have it. It's a portrait and it says my days no, you bought me that too. My days are always happy and bright, but it was also this portrait. It might be at your house actually, but it was like some things that it said about like what you would want to say to your daughter or what you would want your daughter to know. And I mean, I like reading, so I would read that thing like all the time.
Oh,
And it was so encouraging. I said, because I know you. You're not just gonna pick something up and then just when you give gifts, you're intentional with your gifts. And so I'm like, my mama feel this about me. She feel this
how old
way.
was that? Yeah, you were a teenager, I think.
Mhm.
Teenager, maybe. It's been,
Yeah.
was it that long? Yeah,
Uh,
teenager. Yeah,
yeah.
just about, yep. Future, relationships. Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I don't think
Yeah,
anyone does not like knowing that they were thought of, that they were considered, you
that's
know? And so that's everything. I was like, "Oh my god, my mom," and even to this day, you do things for me. I'm just so
oh.
happy with my mother for me, and, f let's break stigmas and stereotypes, and I think there's more of it happening where mothers and daughters are in synergy with one another more, but let's break those stigmas and those stereotypes because when you were talking, mom, I just began to see like, oh, my mother's gonna be helping some people because I literally saw like a title that said, "Help me, I don't want to relate to my children," something like that. Like, "Help me, I don't know how to relate to my children. Help me, my children
Yeah.
irritate me. Help me, they kind of like their feelings, bleh, like I don't care about their feelings, so help me." And I could see that helping, moms, probably
Yeah.
dads too, know that it is okay because sometimes parents need healing. Parents need healing. They may need some healing on the inside. Like
Absolutely.
nobody was empathetic for me. Sometimes when people show vulnerability
Yeah.
or they show weakness,
Yeah.
sometimes that is major like, "Ugh, get away from me" moment from people. Like, "I cannot stand when you're like that." Like,
Yeah.
"Stop. I'm uncomfortable now. I don't wanna see you that way." No. May have to help some people. I saw that, like, "Oh, you're gonna help some people." Yeah,
Exactly.
because Because it's needed. I mean,
Yeah.
it's needed. These are things, little sidebar things or things that slip between the cracks of life and all these amazing things that we're doing in ministry and we're doing in life, we're doing in business. Like, okay, these are still like relationship things that need to be talked about, that need to be discussed as we're on our way to greatness.
So
So
true.
that's
Because
what I have to say about that.
so
Uh-huh.
good. I like what you said about the relationships because we want our children to experience the blessing, the overflow, the fruit of our labor. We don't want it just to us to reap the
Mm,
wonderful blessings of the Lord. We want our children to enter into that land, that's flowing
yeah,
with milk and honey. So if restoration does have to come, so that they can want to serve the God that we serve. We want to be that example to them. So that's good. That's so good. And yes, we are here for it. Yes, I am a lover of being very intentional about restoration, healing, just from life experiences with raising young ladies and sons. I mean, good lords, two different, a lot of different personalities, under the same roof and having to navigate how to understand, like my daughter said, their love language, another's son's love language, because what works for this child won't work for that child. What worked for this one may not work for that one. But the commonality is that we can display the love of God to each and every one of them the
yes,
same way. And I believe that that is very impactful when we're consistent with displaying, showing, demonstrating, articulating the love of God, what that looks like in bodily form. We are an extension of the God we serve. And I think our children need to see that from us first and
mm,
foremost. Why should they want to be a part of the kingdom of God? Why should they want to make attitude adjustments, identity adjustment, personality adjustments, adjustments because they see something in us lovingly that is steering them in the direction that they should go. And so this was really good. Thank you so much, Sister Mary Kay, for typing in the three areas that are encouraging to our daughters, and I know it can go across the board to our sons as well. Be the example that you want your daughter to exemplify. Be intentional about keeping the relationship strong. That is so important, and I think it has to be welcomed. For the child, well, adult child. I'm saying child. It has to be reciprocated. We may want it and the adult child may not want it, or the adult child may want it, the parent may not want it. But as Talanda said, be intentional about keeping that relationship strong. And as Tanika said earlier, the seasons change and our methodology may change as well, but at least be found doing something. And the last one was learning your daughter's love language. Oh my God, that is so, so key, so key. Because we may be doing something that they don't like. They may
right.
not like gifts. They may not like quality time. They may prefer acts of service and hugs and compassion. So, if you're
Mhm,
familiar with the five love languages that were written for marriage, I even think they have one for the children too. But that's so important. You can
mhm,
ask. If you don't know, you can ask. What do you like to do? What is it that you appreciate that I do for you? So we can't just put the onus on the child. We have to take responsibility as well for keeping the relationship strong and maintaining the strength in that relationship. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Talanda, is there anything you want to say in closing before we bounce off of here? We will be back a couple of more times this month. And I think we're going to do the reverse. Are you ready to do the reverse in the conversation, Talanda?
mhm.
There was something that she suggested. You
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm,
ready? You ready?
mm, mm.
Say it with me for reverse. Tell them. I don't know if that's hip or cool or not. So should we tell them what the reverse?
Rivers. I just said rivers. I'm like, rivers, my what does this have to
Right.
do?
The reverse is going to encompass.
Mhm. Yes,
You can tell,
reverse.
you can tell them. You can share.
What it'll be me
Yes.
asking you questions. Oh,
Uh-huh. You
yeah.
want
Mhm.
to tell them? So you can enlighten them. You can tell them.
What?
Want to tell them now what to expect the next couple of weeks?
Oh, conversations between myself and my mother. So
Yeah.
I will be having so it's reverse. I'll be asking my mother questions and we'll be hearing from her vantage point, her experience, her wisdom, her wealth of knowledge.
Talanda be bringing the business with these questions, y'all. So y'all pray for me, okay? She goes deep. She's like,
Oh, yeah.
"Deep, deep dive." It's like, "Okay, but
That's
we've been out here long enough."
I know we
No,
have.
it has been great. It has been phenomenal. This is like something we do like in real life. She's over here or I'm over there. We're in the car. It's like we laugh so hard. And I was trying to refrain from really getting the giggles, but we laugh so hard sometimes until we cry. For
Absolutely.
real, for real. So I'm enjoying having this wonderful God infused relationship with my beautiful daughter. And I
Mhm.
look forward to it evolving, including our granddaughter. And I cannot wait to see how her relationship will evolve with her daughter, her and her husband, with their beautiful daughter. So thank you, social media family, for joining us tonight. This is also on YouTube. You can catch the replay from the beginning if you're just jumping on. Thank you, thank you, thank you for tuning in. I hope that something was said to bless you, encourage you, and inspire you. And thank you so much for your communication, your feedback. I really enjoyed listening to or reading what you all posted in the comments. So have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week.
Yes.
Same time, a little earlier, 7 to 7:30. We were just trying to do something a little different by utilizing the Facebook platform. Not sure if you can do that by inviting someone on. And again, if you have any particular questions you want to hear, you can direct message me or Thailand if there's a topic that you want to hear. But the next 2 weeks, it will be conversations with my daughter. So she will be presenting questions to me and, yeah, instructing the dialogue, guiding the dialogue at that time. So have a wonderful evening, everybody. Go get you some food,
Right.
sweetheart. And we will see you next